So you've done the character sheet, you've done the questionnaire, you may have even done the personality test. You know your character's birthday and you know what they ate 4th of July 5 years ago. Okay, maybe not that far, but you get the gist. You know your characters inside and out and you're ready for this story. What about those side characters? aka Flippin' Scribbler, and I am here today to talk about fleshing out your side characters. You know the ones I'm talking about, the ones that you either make up in your outline when you're filling out your main character's information. You're like, hey, they have a best friend, they have a boyfriend, they're 16, they probably have a parent somewhere, so you have all these names written down, start your story, and then you have these other random characters that keep popping up. And they're sitting over here screaming, look at me, look at me! And now you have to come up with names and positions for them because you find that in the random character that you created in Chapter 1 has returned in Chapter 5 with a more significant role. And you can't remember if you named him Chris, Carl, or Nathaniel. Not that it matters. Or does it? What does matter is that they've managed to take on a life of their own. They need to be more than just 2D characters on your manuscript. They need their own stories. They need their own experiences. Likes and dislikes, same as your MC, dragging them along on this crazy adventure. Do they need to have a full-on character sheet and personality quiz? If you want, if you got that kind of time. That's totally up to you. And I'm not talking about all the side characters. I mean, the man that bumps into your MC on Chapter 3 and makes her drop her purse probably doesn't need a background story. He probably doesn't even need a name unless he, by some twist of fate, bumped her to save her life from the piano that's falling and he comes back in the later chapters. That is all on you. Talking more about the side characters that become recurring characters that are fully into the story and they help your character move along through the story. There are 3 main things that I find that every side character does to help pull them out of their little 2D worlds and make them into something memorable. First is a name. Full name, last name, middle name if you wish. Totally on to you depending on your story and what you're into. When I name my side characters, if they're not done in outline, usually they're named on the fly. I'm come up with this guy. I see a character and I'm like, oh, he probably needs a name, and I'll throw something like Al out there and be like, yep, that sounds good. If I'm writing a historical novel or I need a certain ethnicity, I may go into Google and write a list of names that sounds really good and then pick one from there. Not saying I'll stay. Google's always a really good place to find names for your characters. You can look into baby books if you happen to have some laying around. Or you can, I don't know, names are the easiest thing for me to come up with. Now, if I happen to find a name and then a better name than what I had that fits the character better, I may change it mid-story. This is not something I recommend doing because it takes a lot more time to edit your story when you're having to go back and remember which name you actually chose for that character, but it is what it is. Second thing you're going to need to really pull out this character is a background. Where they come from, what's happened to them, do they work, do they go to school, do they both, do they do neither? Do they have siblings? Do they have family? All these things tie into what actually makes a person who they are. And so you have to kind of know these things when you're making these characters, even for these side characters. You need to do, like I said, do you need to do an entire questionnaire or personality test? No, not really. One of my favorite things to do is to write short stories. Either past short stories that kind of how they became who they are, or past short stories to tell me what they're dealing with at a certain time. I think I was once suggested that I should try doing a short story for a side character during the events of the main story, like his going on with him during the story. It's really what it does is it helps you get into the head. It puts your side character as the main character and really gets you into his psyche, gets you into what he likes, what he doesn't like, what he does in certain situations, and it helps and that when you bring the character into the main story, you already kind of know who he is, so you can easily write him down and bring him out and make his personality pop. You really want that personality to pop and reach and grab people, because we want people to love our side characters as much as our main characters. You're getting where I'm going, right? Third important thing that I found recently that each and every character need is a purpose. They need a goal, something to achieve, something that's going to keep them going. Even if their purpose in the story is to die mid-story, they still need something that they're striving for. This can be done by easily plotting out their story from beginning to end, like you would plot out the main story arc. You can go and you plot out each character's story arc from beginning to end and all the little middle bits. I created my own little character thing in my writer's journal that I recently started, and it essentially looks like this. It has the background, the conflicts, and then the arc all on one page. And that way, when I get stuck with my story or I'm confused as to where I'm going with it, I look at it, I look at their wants, their conflicts, and I dive and I go from there. Where am I going from there? It helps me to figure out what I want to happen for each character from beginning to end. It makes writing the story that much easier. Now, I made the mistake of not doing this in my first draft. I think, like I said, in my first draft, I kind of just threw characters in and hoped for the best, and that was a really horrible idea. Now I'm on like third, fourth draft, and I'm realizing that my secondary characters are kind of just there, and I'm trying to pop them out. And that is one of the ways I'm doing this, along with filling out background information and character arcs. There are plenty of other ways that I haven't mentioned. There's the Harmon's plot embryo, which can be broken down for each character. You start out with who they are, their comfort zone, their background, and then you dive into what's called the go phase. It's the changing phase, where everything's kind of flipped upside down, and then they have to work their way around the circle. Rachel Stevens gives really good writing advice on this and plot embryos. I'll leave the video for you down below if you wish to check that out more. And then there's also the dreaded Myers-Briggs personality test. You can always choose to go from beginning to end with each character and fill it out. I have a little cheat sheet in another journal that kind of has basics, and this allows me to kind of figure out my characters when I don't know what I'm doing with them, or what they want, where they want, what they're going. These are a few ways that I found to bring out not just my secondary characters, but all my main characters. It's really helped, but like I said, this is mostly about fleshing out those second characters, making them kick ass, make them as memorable as Yondu or those guys off The Princess Bride, because who doesn't love those guys? And remember, just like in real life, nothing ever really goes as planned. Even in a fiction novel, characters take over, things happen, and the plan kind of gets thrown out the window. That's okay. Go with it. Wrangle it back into place. And sometimes it works out for the better. So until next time, bye. These things tie into what makes a person be a person. That makes any sense to you at all?